Okay, this is how you change the brake caliper on a Silverado. It's a 2007. Okay, basically what you're going to do is you're going to loosen up this bolt here and this bolt here. But I'm going to show you how to do it first. What I always do is pinch off the brake line very lightly, not too hard. You don't want to crush the line, you just want to keep the fluid from flowing through it. So you just pinch it off very lightly, and then we take off the brake hose right here. Of course, you want to have a bucket down underneath to catch any fluid that drips out. Take the hose off, and you're going to just move it out of the way. You're going to discard the little copper rings that are on there because we're not going to reuse those. We're going to replace them with new. Just to keep from making a mess, I always block off that so we don't have a mess. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to remove the two caliper mounting bolts, and you just remove them. Same thing on the bottom. Sometimes this bolt down here will turn. If it does turn, you can just hold it with a wrench. Most of the time you can just unscrew it right out. Caliper comes right off. In this particular case, we're going to be reusing the brake pads because the caliper was the only thing that was starting to leak. The pads themselves are brand new. We're just going to take the pads and move them out of the way because we're going to be reusing them. And we're going to replace this mounting bracket here also. The mounting bracket is usually pretty tight, and I usually use the breaker bar to break it loose. Or an air gun, but in this case I'll show you how to do it without an air gun. Break them loose. Once you break them loose with your breaker bar, you can just use a ratchet to remove them. These bolts you're going to need because you're going to be reusing these when you mount the new one on, so put them someplace so you can reuse them. Alright, and this is actually trash, so we don't really need this. Mounting bracket comes without these clips in here, so you'll need to put these in, and these hold the brake pads in place. And they just push right in just like that. Okay. Same thing on the other side. You just put the clip in there, and it pushes right into the groove where it's made for it, and then we can remount this onto the car. Catch the one, and then you catch the second one, After you got them both caught, then you can tighten it up. Tighten them both up. On the mounting bracket, I always use the breaker bar or the air gun to make sure it's tight. Okay, so now our mounting bracket is remounted. Now we're going to put our brake pads back in. And before we put the brake pads in, we're just going to put a little bit of grease on the pad itself so it slides in the bracket the way it's supposed to. Just like that. We're going to mount the inner brake pad same way. We're going to put a little grease on the end right here and right here. Slide them into place. And you take your new caliper and you're going to mount your new caliper back onto the vehicle itself. A word of advice, make sure your bleeder valve is always facing up, because the left and right side are different, but you have to have your bleeder valve on the highest point of the caliper. Right? Now with the brake caliper, you do get new mounting bolts. Make sure you use them. Tighten them both in. Nice and tight. And then remember we said we're going to replace the O-rings that come with the new caliper. You slide the one onto here. You take the bolt and you put it through here. And you mount your second O-ring on this side here, and you screw it into the caliper. Always by hand. You don't tighten it with the ratchet until after you have it caught. A couple of turns. And then you just screw it in. Make sure when you mount it in here, make sure that this fits up flush up against the caliper. This you're not going to tighten too tight. You're just going to snug it until it just touches, and you go just a little bit more. Because you can strip this out or break it off. Alright, now we're going to just open up that bleeder valve. After the bleeder valve up, remove your pliers that were on the line, and we're just going to let it drip until the fluid starts to drip out of this caliper right here. And once the fluid drips out, Then we're going to close it back up. We're going to go around to the other side of the vehicle, do the exact same thing we just did on this side. We're going to bleed it out right through there. And then we're going to have the master cylinder filled up with brake fluid. And we'll have an assistant sit inside the vehicle and pump the brake pedal 3-4 times. The pedal comes up higher. Then they hold the brake pedal down. You open up this bleeder valve, let the fluid squirt out. You close the valve. They pump the brake pedal up inside the car again until it's hard. They hold the brake pedal. You open up this bleeder valve a second time. The fluid squirts out. They hold the foot to the floor. You tighten this valve. After you tighten this valve up, they pump the brake pedal again. And you repeat that procedure 3 times, 4 times until you have just fluid coming out and no air. Right? And that's it. Okay. And you'll see the fluid starts to drip out. Let it drip for a little bit just to get the air out of it. It'll make it easier when you try to bleed it out with an assistant. All right. Good luck. Hope everything works well for you. If you have any questions or any kind of concerns, you can send me a message, and I will be more than happy to respond back to you. Thank you.